Hi, it's State Representative Jim Walsh here at the Capitol in Olympia. I'm standing in the circle between the legislative building, the Dome, and the state Supreme Court's Temple of Justice. And right behind me, of course, is the Winged Victory Monument that recognizes the soldiers and sailors who lost their lives in World War I. It's a beautiful campus. It's a beautiful day, kind of a late winter, early spring day. And if you have the chance in the next few weeks, stop by the Capitol in Olympia and walk around. It's a beautiful place. The next few weeks are going to be very busy, as we have about 3 weeks left in the legislative session currently, getting toward the end. And I want to talk right now about three major issues that we're grappling with during this legislative session. The first and the most important is protecting the Running Start program. As you probably know, Running Start is a program unique to Washington State, where we allow high school students to get college credit in their last couple of years of high school. And it's a great program that gives kids who have discipline and vision about what they want to do the chance to get a college degree faster and significantly less expensively than college often costs. It's a popular program in most of the state of Washington, but in the current proposed operating budget for 2026, the majority here at the Capitol wants to cut money from the Running Start program. And those of us in the Republican caucus think that it's a terrible idea. And actually, a few of our colleagues across the aisle are joining us, so it's a bipartisan belief that cutting money from the Running Start program is a mistake. We shouldn't do that. We should keep Running Start fully funded. And that's going to be an issue that comes to a point in these last few weeks of the legislative session. We're not sure how it's going to turn out. The governor and the majority legislators may end up cutting money from Running Start. But many of us, and again, the group that's supporting Running Start, defending Running Start, is bipartisan, think that the program should be left alone and should not have any funds cut. There'll be more to talk about this as time goes on, but know this, I am among those, and I think our numbers are growing, that are going to defend the Running Start program. Secondly, as you may have heard or read or seen already, there's another very controversial bill that raids money out of the LEF 1 state pension program. LEF 1 is one of the couple of state pension programs dedicated to law enforcement officers and firefighters. And it has long been a very well-funded, well-capitalized pension fund. The state of Washington operates about 15 different pension funds for retired state government employees and local government employees, and teachers and other public sector employees. Washington State has had a proud tradition of managing these public pension funds well. We haven't played the tricks and accounting games and budget gimmicks that states like California and Illinois and New York have played. We've funded our public pensions well, and we've managed them very well. Most of our public pension plans are funded at 100% of their obligations, projected obligations, or near 100%. The ones that are the least funded are in the 90% range. So we've done very well in Washington State managing our public pensions. This proposal, House Bill 2034, would end that good management. It would take about $4 billion out of the LEF 1 pension plan and put it into the climate commitment account and the general fund of the operating budget. This is not a good idea. It's not a good idea to take capital assets or investment assets out of their investment portfolio and put them in to operating expenses to cover really projects that, in my opinion, shouldn't be funded anyway in the Climate Commitment Act account and the general operating fund. It's a bad decision, and most importantly, it sets the wrong precedent. It breaks Washington's great tradition. It breaks Washington's great tradition of conservative management of our public pensions. And as I've said before, and I'll say again, even if you're not a law enforcement officer or a firefighter, if you're a teacher, if you work for a state agency, you're next if we allow the pension fund for cops and firefighters to be raided. I oppose this House Bill 2034 and am going to encourage a very robust debate around it because I think it's a bad idea and a bad precedent. And lastly, I want to talk about an issue that I hear about a great deal from constituents in the 19th District and from everywhere. There is growing concern in Washington State about fraud in a lot of our state agency priorities, policy priorities, functions of government, projects. And particularly there's concern right now around fraudulent payments made to child care centers that operate using a lot of state agency money. These are child care centers that are dedicated and really focused on a handful of state government programs that are meant to provide daycare, child care, to working families and poor families. There's a credible evidence and a growing amount of credible evidence that there is a lot of fraudulent payments being made by state government agencies to these daycare centers. And we've seen really strange resistance here at the Capitol to even investigating these allegedly fraudulent payments to daycare centers. We've had a number of pieces of legislation that would have clarified how state agencies need to do their own fraud and abuse investigations. We've even tried to amend on to related bills language about requiring investigation of credible allegations of fraudulent payments. And across the board, the governor and the Speaker of the House and the state Senate Majority Leader have resisted doing any of this needed reform that would increase the transparency and accountability of how these kinds of payments are made by the state government, by its agencies, to private entities that are supposed to be providing child care, daycare, in some cases homeless housing, in some cases group family homes for adults. There are credible allegations of fraudulent payments being made in all of these areas, and there is a great deal of resistance here at the Capitol to even looking into the matter. So we're going to continue to press for more transparency, more accountability, and more internal audit of how the state government spends money on outsourced services. These are just three of the issues we're dealing with here at the Capitol right now. And in the next few weeks, attention is going to turn to the supplemental budgets, operating, transportation, and capital. And we're going to particularly look at the tax policies that fund these budgets. Of course, the most controversial tax policy right now here in Olympia is the governor's unconstitutional proposal to start a state income tax. Now, the story is just beginning to be told about the problems with that proposition. But know this, I am opposed to a state income tax. I believe, as the governor has put it forward, it is unconstitutional. And ultimately, I believe, no matter what rhetoric you hear, the governor's plan is to end up taxing all Washingtonians on their income, and that is against the Constitution, it's against the statutory law, and it's against the best traditions of Washington State. More than anything, a state income tax runs against the best traditions of Washington State's public policy. We have historically been a fiscally conservative state, but we're risk throwing all that good tradition away with a handful of irresponsible proposals. I'm going to fight those tooth and nail, I assure you. I want to maintain the best fiscal conservative, fiscally responsible traditions of Washington State. Until next time, be well and stay strong.